Hello everyone, I don't think anyone's here yet, so I will just have some water. I've got this cool bottle and you can put something in the middle. I've got cinnamon water. Very nice. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock. We've got a couple of people here. Hi Simon. Okay, let's just get started, and then if anybody else arrives a bit later, they can just join in when they're ready. So we'll start the same as we always do. So we're going to swing, in case anyone's new, we're swinging kind of from our hips and just allowing your arms to be nice and floppy and relaxed. They just sort of flap round. So what we're doing here as well is just, I mean, for me at the moment, everything's kind of creaking because I'm a bit tired. So we're just trying to warm up our bodies. Everything's connected. So if any part of our body is tense, it affects our breathing, and our breathing affects our body. So we can help relax by breathing well, and we can help our breathing to be good by having our bodies nice and relaxed. Okay. And shake it all out. So yeah, my shoulders today are a little bit more stiff, so let's just do some shoulder rolling. Because our shoulders are so close to our rib cage, that can be quite can have quite an effect on your breathing if your shoulders are tense, and it is such a common place to hold tension is in your shoulders. So this is quite a good exercise anyway. And the other way. And just lift your shoulders right up to your ears. And then drop them down, relax, and up, and down, up, and down, and I'll just circle your arms backwards, yeah, somebody just put, I have tension in my shoulders too. Yeah, it's a very common place. Most people do hold tension in their shoulders. Okay, now this one, it always makes me laugh because some people can just do it and some people it's like they just can't seem to get their head around it. But if you start with both arms up and you want to put one arm forward and the other arm back so that both arms are swinging in a different direction, and the other way. Very good, and shake it out. So hopefully if you did have any tension in your shoulders, I think my shoulders feel a little bit better now. Okay, so we're just going to bend our knees. That click. And straighten and bend and straighten, bend, straighten. And while you're doing this, hi Michael. While you're doing this, bending and straightening, I want you to just think about your posture. So if you've been to other sessions, you'll know what to look out for, but we want to imagine that if we were a puppet and the string out the top of our head so that our chin's down, you know, we're not looking up, we're not looking down, but we're just sort of shoulders nice and aligned, everything kind of relaxed. You don't want to be using muscles that don't need to be working, but you know, everything be nice and relaxed and where it should be. If you are able to do this in front of a mirror, or like for me, I'm looking at my camera, it does help, because sometimes you feel like you're straight, but you're sort of stood like this, and then when you sort of straighten up, it feels lopsided because you're so used to holding your body in a slightly wonky position. So it does help sometimes to look in the mirror, and then you can think, oh, that looks strange, even though it feels like everything's completely straight. So we're just bending and straightening. Now we're going to add the arm movements, and this is going to be sort of in conjunction with our breathing. So we're going to, as we come up, bring our arms in and out and in and out, and we're going to imagine when our arms are up that that's pushing up the diaphragm, and when they're out, it's opening out the rib cage. So in and out, in and out. And as you're doing this, keep going. I want you to visualize every time you push, every time you breathe out, your diaphragm is pushing out that air. When you breathe in, you're just relaxing and dropping the diaphragm and allowing the air to suck back in. So effectively, you don't take a breath in, you just allow the air to come back in. Now we'll go to the side, next one. And shake it out, very good. So yeah, every time we're doing this breathing, what we want to be trying to think of is, so the lungs, and some people are a bit squeamish about it, picturing your own lungs. If you want to think of it as being balloons or something else, that's fine. But normally, if somebody says taking a deep breath, you would think of physically taking in the breath. But what I want you to just change your perception, and the focus, the energy, is on pushing out the breath. So here's your diaphragm, just under your bottom rib. It's a big muscle that is what pushes the air out, and that's what you're engaging when you breathe out. And then when you've got no air left, you don't take in a deep breath, you just allow the diaphragm to relax and drop down, and the air just floods back into your lungs. So that's what we're trying to do. And we talked as well, you don't have to stand up, but so if you want to sit down, if that's easier for you, or whatever position you want to be in, but find a spot to focus on. Ideally, I'm just going to make this a little bit taller so that this is a bit more eye height for me, so that ideally you're looking sort of roughly your eye line, so that you're not kind of looking up at the ceiling, you're not looking down at the floor, all helps with the posture. And we're just gonna channel the air that we breathe out to that spot that we're looking at. And if you want to have your hands kind of on your ribs so that you can feel and squeeze out the air, sometimes that helps, because a lot of the time people think they've got rid of all the air in their lungs, but actually they haven't. When I've taught people face to face and I say, you can breathe out some more, and they're there going, no I can't, and I'm like, well, how did you say no I can't? You had to have some air in your lungs to be able to say that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to channel that air to our spot. You don't have to do it at exactly the same pace as me, because you might have bigger lungs than me and then I'll be finished and you still got air left, or you might have less lung capacity and I could go on longer than you. It's not a competition, you go at your pace. But what I want us to do is we're gonna breathe out, and we're gonna try and visualize our diaphragm pushing out all the air as we do it. And when we feel like we've got to the end of the breath, we're maybe gonna just give a little squeeze, see if we can get a little bit more air out. Then we're gonna hold it for as long as we can, and then we're just gonna relax. And hopefully the diaphragm will just drop and the air will suck back in. So this, like I say every time, you know, we are kind of stretching ourselves. So, you know, if it feels a little uncomfortable, don't worry. But, you know, I'm not in the room with you, and you've got to know your own body. If it hurts or you feel faint or, you know, anything uncomfortable in a bad way, then stop, sit this one out, or just do it a bit more gently. It's up to you. But so, right, we're going to focus on our spot. And if you're looking in the mirror, you can just look into your own eyes. Try and have your head in the right position, and, you know, if you are standing up, knees can be slightly bent. They don't have to be, but what we don't want is for your knees to be kind of locked straight so that there's any tension there. I personally find it really hard to stand with my legs straight and not lock my knees, because again, tension, like that's somewhere that I would hold some tension. So whenever I'm just standing up straight, I always try and have my knees just slightly bent, so that I don't have that tension. Okay, so hands just on these bottom ribs, and hopefully when the air comes in, you'll feel your rib cage expanding, and then when the air's going out, you'll feel it going in, and you'll be able to connect that with visualizing your lungs. So let's start. So don't forget, when you get to the end of your breath, I want you to try and squeeze a little bit more out, and then hold it for as long as you can, and then you're just going to relax, and just as your diaphragm drops, if you think of it a bit like a syringe, so if you were pushing the air out of the syringe, and then when you let go, if the syringe isn't fully stuck in it and the bottom bit just drops, that syringe would fill back with air. You wouldn't be pulling the air in, it just, as it drops, the air just comes in. And all the time that you're doing this, I want you to be thinking about all your posture. I want you to think, you know, are your legs locked? Is your knees locked? Are your shoulders nice and aligned? Is your head in the right position? And even though you're focusing on the breathing, I want a part of your mind to just constantly be going through all the different parts of your body. Somebody I know who holds like tension in their fingers, and they feel like their hands are nice and relaxed, and then I say, what's your hand doing? And they look down and they're sort of like this or something, you know, like a claw, and you don't realise it because you're so used to all the tensions that you hold that they feel relaxed. So as you're kind of going through, and this is why it is good if you can look in a mirror whilst you do it, but even if you can't, you know, you can still be mindful of all these different things, just constantly be going through, is this doing what it should do? I'm just going to have a sip of water. Make sure you stay hydrated, everyone. It's very important. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do a zzz. So we're doing the same thing that we've just been doing, but we're going to make a little bit of a sound, and it's going to be a z sound. Zzz. You should feel it vibrating on your tongue. Anybody that's just, if you've just sort of tuned in and you're thinking, what's going on? What we're doing is we are pushing the air using our diaphragm, which is this muscle here, We're pushing the air out of our lungs on a Z sound, and when we get to the end of the breath, we're holding it. If you can, just give a little squeeze to get out that last bit of breath. Then allow your diaphragm to drop by just relaxing, and the air sucks back in. And now a Z sound, like Z, Z. I know this all feels quite repetitive, but it should do. This is what kind of training is. The more you do this, the bigger your lung capacity will be, the stronger your breaths will be, and you'll just be able to use that in all your different situations. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of the box breathing. So we're going to, and this one is a bit more for a sort of de-stressing, and you can do this anywhere. Do you breathe in through your nose or mouth? It doesn't matter. It sort of depends what the situation is. I mean, some exercises you would breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. I mean, personally, I kind of feel like, well, coming at it from a more of a singer's perspective, usually you're just gonna breathe in and out through your mouth. So I sort of generally do that. But I mean, it depends. I mean, generally speaking, if I was just doing just a sort of breathing where I'm not channeling the breath, I probably would use just my nose, or in through my nose, out through my mouth. But in fact, let's do, with this box breathing, let's do that. We're going to breathe in for 4 through our nose, hold it for 4, then out through our mouth for 4, and hold it for 4. So, in, and yeah, you can just have your hands by your side. Because one benefit of having your hands by your side is that when you've got your hands up, sometimes that makes your shoulders go up. But just as a general thing, really, the breathing through your nose or your mouth, I mean, at this point, what I'm trying to do is kind of focus on the lungs. So I don't think it matters that much, but I think ideally you should be kind of do a bit of both. But for the most part, I would do the mouth. But, in your day-to-day life, like if you're kind of sitting at your computer and you just want to sort of do a couple of or something, it is usually in through the nose, out through the mouth. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to breathe in through our nose for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, out through our mouth for 4 counts, hold that for 4 counts. So in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And that's quite a good exercise actually for sort of wherever you are and whatever you're doing. If you're, I mean, I know nobody's really going to an office these days, but even if you are just sort of in the office and you just need to take just a moment before you're going to make an important phone call or something, but you don't want everyone to notice that you're doing something, that's quite a good one. You can just sort of, so that's a good one to remember. Okay, now I would like everybody to close your eyes, and maybe before you close your eyes, if you're looking in the mirror, just make sure that you're standing or sitting in the right sort of position, which means ideally your head, you've got the string coming out of your head, kind of from, the crown, like if you were a puppet. Comment. I always want to know. Yeah. Okay. So shoulders nice and relaxed and down. Arms by your sides, nice and relaxed. Try and all the way down to your fingertips. Just go through all the different parts of your body. Apparently, for example, for dancers, if they go through a routine in their head and they don't even physically do it, that still has an effect on like the muscularity of your body. Just thinking about these things does make a difference. So if you just are trying to think, relax shoulders, it will actually help to relax them. So just going down all our different body parts, all the way down our legs, down to our tips of our toes, everything nice and relaxed. Then close your eyes, and I just want you to breathe, just breathe normally, in through the nose, out through the mouth. But as you're breathing, I do want you to just be thinking about how the diaphragm is pushing out the air, squeezing your lungs so that they're empty. And then when you run out of air, you just relax and drop the diaphragm, and the air sucks back in. If you want to just breathe through your nose actually for this one, that's fine too. And now, as you're concentrating on both your posture and your breathing, I want you to listen to all the sounds outside of the room that you're in. So maybe there's a car driving past, or somebody upstairs, birds, the rain. Now I want you to focus in a little bit more to the sounds inside the room. So we're still concentrating on pushing the air out of our lungs using our diaphragm, then relaxing the diaphragm so it drops down and the air sucks back in. But now we're just that little bit closer, listening to all the sounds in the room. So it might be the buzz of a radiator, a clock ticking. It might be completely silent, but you're still listening to that silence. And now I want you to come a little closer in, and whilst you're still thinking about pushing out the air with your diaphragm, and then relaxing it and letting the air suck back in, going to just listen to all the sounds that you're making. So maybe you can hear yourself breathing, maybe you're breathing silently, maybe you can just quietly hear your own heart beating. Whatever noises you're making, even if you're not making any, that's what you're listening to. And all the while concentrating on that breath. And now, whilst you're continuing to think and focus on the breathing, pushing the air out with your diaphragm, allowing the diaphragm to drop down and the air suck back in, I now want you to put those three things together. So that's you, the room you're in, and outside of the room that you're in, and listen to all the sounds that you can hear, and focusing on your breathing in this space and time, so that you're present, you're focusing on yourself, but you're also present in the moment and aware of your surroundings. And when you're ready, I want you to slowly open your eyes. If you're not standing up, I want you to gently stand up so that you don't get a head rush. And then we're just going to sort of shake it out again. And that's it. Very good session. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back again tomorrow at 11, so hopefully I'll see you then. I'm also going to be trying to do every weekday, so if you did want to just do like a weekly session, you don't have to come every single day. As you know, I'm like a busker at heart, so pretty much most of the things I do for tips. It's enough for me anyway that you've just joined me at all. I really appreciate you being here. Obviously, if you can spare any money or anything like that, that would be amazing, but don't feel obligated. I have put the PayPal link in the description, but if you just come back another time or tell anybody that you think might enjoy this session to come, that's amazing. Thank you so much, and hopefully see you again tomorrow. Bye.